Okay, this is the fourth time I've tried to make this video. What I want to talk about is a person who finds their autism later in life. And I guess really that could mean any time out of school, but of course the later, the factors change as you get older for getting diagnosed. Mainly because at my age, 59, they basically look at you and go, what, you got 5 more years you're going to work, or maybe 10 more years, and then you're going to retire? So if you've made it this far, probably what's kind of half going through their head is, why are you even getting diagnosed? Well, I don't think they understand the emotional, what it means to finally know what's been going on in your life, that whole side of it. But anyway, off topic, if you have discovered or strongly suspect that you are on the spectrum, there is a very good chance, from what I have talked with people and have seen as the kind of the norm of all this, is that, I mean, if you had any idea that you were expressing autistic traits, you'd know you're autistic, right? I mean, so you've covered it all up. You've called it something else. You've ignored it. You've denied it. And it's going to take you a while to uncover it all, to learn what traits are, to learn what specifically your traits are. And for me, I got my diagnosis about 2 months after I discovered I was on the spectrum. And I had a good talk with a good friend of mine, and she was saying, you might want to hold off for a year. I mean, to me, it was like, a year? I need to know now. This is driving me absolutely crazy. It was an obsession. It was so, I almost want to put traumatic, that it had raised my heart rate constantly for about 3 months, and I'm talking around 150 beats per minute. The arrhythmias, the atrial fibrillations, the atrial flutters, it was no joke. It was, I still am amazed that what an impact that had on me then, but also I'm still amazed now at what I'm learning. But depending on where you are, as far as your knowledge of yourself, your knowledge of autism, just be very aware that they're going to ask you. For me, I didn't have anyone else but me to interview. My parents have passed away. I guess they could have called my sister, but she wouldn't have been a big help. Somebody said to her, "Is your brother expressing autistic traits?" She said no. I talked with her before the diagnosis, and she was basically saying, "Oh, it's probably this, it's probably that." I mean, it would have been a hindrance to my diagnosis if they'd talked to my sister. There isn't anyone else, really, that knows me in the past to talk to. If you would have talked to my boss at work, where the reason I went in was having trouble with communications, she would have known what you were talking about. Say, do you think Tom has these traits? No. I mean, so you're going to have to be your own advocate to some degree. And if you cannot take the written test and understand what those questions are, when they say something like, has anyone ever told you that you, I'm trying to think of how they word this. It's like, okay, one of them was, has anyone ever told you that you're rude? Well, I can remember times, I remember like once somebody said, what they said was, how did they put it? Well, they used another expression. They didn't say they were rude, but they said that was bold, or that was something like that. This was like 10 years ago. Harsh. That's what they said. Well, that was really harsh. Okay, thank you. I wasn't reading. Yeah. So anyway, from tangents again. Just be really aware of that when you're going for a diagnosis. That so sort of like going into anything medical anymore. You got to kind of have your ducks in a line before you go in. Or you may get misdiagnosed. So anyway, something to think about if you're at that stage. My friends had put it off for a year. It probably was actually pretty good advice. I know that now. Well, I've taken like the ASD quiz, and I'm testing higher. Not a lot higher. I think I've taken it like 4 times. My lowest was like out of 200, I think 42, and my highest was most recent, which I think was 49. It's because I knew what those questions were asking. I could go, yes, you know, not exactly what you said. Some of you didn't say you're being rude. They said you're being harsh, or they said this, or they said that. You know, those are the kind of subtle things that you're going to have to separate the wheat from the chaff before you go in for your diagnosis. Because if you would say no, it doesn't happen to me. I don't have any self-stems. I do. I don't have any perseverations. Yeah, I do. Something to think about. So, hopefully this helped you with this topic, and please leave comments and do subscribe. I mean, I don't ever look for this being a 10,000 member channel, but it's always nice to have people, showing interest. So I hope you're one of them. Thank you. Bye-bye.